For those watching this interview online, this is Jacky Rosen. She is the Democratic candidate for the Congressional District 3 seat, which does not have an incumbent at this point in time.
Open seat.
So Jacky, the first question that we're asking of all of the candidates we've been interviewing for this entire election cycle is this: why have you decided to run for this particular seat at this particular time?
I'm trying to give the short answer. You know, I've lived in Southern Nevada almost 40 years. I built my career here. And although we had camera issues, I wrote computer software, mainframe computer software, and as a systems analyst. So I built my career as a woman in technology, and I make the joke I wrote apps before they were called apps. I walked around campus with those big decks of computer cards. And started my career here, met my husband here. He's a physician at the VA, raised our daughter here. She went through public school, and she's now a junior, I can't believe it, in college. And my parents and my in-laws lived here, and that was a really great blessing. But they're all gone, but a few years before that, they all got sick at the same time. So I became a full-time caretaker to all four of them, and went through many different challenges: broken neck, broken hip, Alzheimer's, cancer, all kinds. It isn't a joke, but I said I was on the rehab circuit, but not the Kim Kardashian rehab circuit, the ones that are challenging. And my in-laws and my parents needed an advocate. I was really blessed to be able to do that as the only daughter and take care of them. And what I learned, and I'm sure you're going to ask me some of these questions, as you go through healthcare, Social Security, Medicare, pensions, what all that means to people, I know that firsthand as a longtime caregiver for my parents and my in-laws. But through all that, I also did a lot of community service. And my most recent community service, I was president of the largest synagogue in Nevada, Congregation Near to Need. And we were really fortunate to partner with public-private partnership, install one of the largest solar panel arrays in the state, reducing our energy footprint, doing that, and we partner with all kinds of social service agencies and community agencies all across the valley. You know, our campus is 10 acres, and so we partner with, we do health fairs with Touro University, we do taxes for seniors, we have places for runaway teens, homeless, we partner with Nevadans for the Common Good, fabulous organization, Executive Director Robert Hu is amazing, and they're bipartisan community efforts to help veterans and human trafficking, you know, social kinds of issues, elder abuse. So through all that, when this opportunity came up, what I realized is I've been making a difference in my community in so many ways. And so one of the things that really spoke to me is that you do so many constituent services right here. And you do go to Washington, you take all those voices there, but some of the most important work and the lives you change are the people here, the businesses here. So when you listen to someone from largest business to a veteran to a senior, whatever it is, you need to be sure that you're servicing your community and doing those things to right here at home. And that's one of the things that really spoke to me. And so that's why I'm in it, that's why I'm doing it. When I help and speak with people, like I said, from large business all the way down to individuals, it's all part of one community that makes Las Vegas, Henderson, our Vegas Valley, I think a fantastic place to live, work, and raise a family. And then I can take those issues, stories, and voices to Washington and help me make informed decisions, smart decisions. As an analyst, you help people work smarter, not harder, and that's what I want to do. So I guess that's not too short of an answer, but that's why I'm in it, that's why I'm running, and thank you for having me here today.
Well, Jacky, you had made reference to the solar panels that you had installed when you were president of your synagogue. You know, green energy is obviously a hot topic these days, especially somewhere where we have 300 some odd days of sunshine per year. What ideas do you have to increase the green energy movement here in Southern Nevada, or perhaps on more of a federal scale, assuming that you are elected to Congress?
Well, I think there's a lot of, just like the partnership that we were part of, there's a lot of public-private partnerships. What we were part of was something that helped nonprofits, schools, churches, synagogues, hospitals. I think Springs Preserve has the largest solar array on top of their parking structure. So that was great because as nonprofits or social service agencies, they put money back in the community and they service the community. So that was a wonderful benefit. And I think there's many more of those kinds of things that we can do to decrease our carbon footprint and bring those kinds of projects. And of course, working with the terrific engineering department that we have at UNLV, and the great business climate that we have. Of course, we talked about up north, Tesla's coming, and Faraday Future with electric cars here to increase some of the businesses coming here and those opportunities.
Well, and you mentioned Tesla. Off camera, we were discussing Tesla, and you had just mentioned Faraday as well.
North Las Vegas, yeah.
Coming down south. Assuming you are elected to Congress, what ideas do you have to try and continue or perpetuate that momentum that Nevada is having with respect to gaining more tech industries coming and diversifying our local economy?
Well, I think when you get to Washington and you begin to, there's a great natural resources committee and committees that work on energy and the environment. And so as you get to know people and you see what's going on across the country, I think Nevada's climate, first of all, we have water issues like everyone else in the Southwest. We have plenty of sunshine. And so I think this is a great place for research and development. So as you get to know people, you see what others are working on, and perhaps we partner with, like we did with Cleveland Clinic when they brought that here. You partner with another university or operations across the country and say, okay, University of, let's say, Illinois, for example, and let's open a branch here, like we have the Cleveland Clinic for Lou Bruno for the brain studies. And we can do some more partnerships so they can expand in an environment that they can really test out what they're doing. So I'm all in favor of trying to create partnerships and build on what some folks are doing across the country. Makes us all stronger.
One issue, I think that was the door.
Okay.
Another issue that is of importance, obviously for individuals like yourself who are in a political race, is the proliferation of political advertising, which as a citizen we are all very, very sick of, yet we'll be inundated with it for the next 58-ish days. Citizens United obviously was the case that really spawned a lot of this. That has certainly contributed to what we perceive as a problem.
Right.
Do you consider Citizens United to be a problem? And assuming you are elected, do you feel that on a national scale or a federal scale, something ought to be done about the issues that stem from that particular case?
I was pleased to say one of my first endorsements was from End Citizens United. I do think that it has changed the equation in ways that people don't even realize, because when someone, and it doesn't matter what side you're on, Democrat or Republican, when large corporations or individuals can come in and put a lot of money into it in ways that an individual can't combat, it changes the equation. So I think it's really important to try to do something to end Citizens United and work on campaign finance reform in a way that levels the playing field for everybody. So we can talk about the issues and do those things and not have to worry about what's coming from us that we may not even know about.
Do you think that it's going to require federal legislation, amendments? How do you feel what do you feel is the best way to tackle these Citizens
I think
United
bipartisan. You have to find someone on the other side of the aisle to come across, to work in the middle, and it's not serving either side. So we need to find those moderate, common sense voices to work together. And it was a Supreme Court ruling for Citizens United, so I don't know if they'll hear another case to overturn that. So you have to look legislatively what you can do to make a difference. But it has to be bipartisan. It has to be in a way that serves everyone. And I believe nobody on either side has to be happy about what's going on. It affects all of us in the same ways. And so those common sense folks, we need to get together and see legislatively what you can do about it.
And I'm sorry, I will keep asking questions if no one cuts me off. I say this usually about this point in time in most interview sessions. And then I pause and continue to ask questions. You had mentioned the need to reach across the aisle. politics has become very divisive as of late. There's a great deal of Hatfields and McCoys going on in D.C. At least that's the common perception
Right.
for most citizens. What ideas do you have to try and dissipate that what appears to be just completely just abject partisanship, which is delaying a great deal of development and delaying the work that as a congressperson,
Right.
You are vested to try and tackle?
Well, I think unfortunately what's happened is that there's been a certain group of individuals who've decided that their best practice would be to just kind of stop government. And so as an outsider, I feel, especially as a systems analyst, you build software, you build your career on team building, on consensus, on creating things that work together. So we need to be sure that we elect individuals who are going to do what they used to do, come to the table and talk about the issues. Because what happens is every time somebody slams their door, there's somebody who's not getting a service, whether, like I said, whether it's a big business or an individual. And we're represented to have those conversations, to represent everyone, whether they're Democrat, Republican, independent, nonpartisan, libertarian, whatever they are. You're elected. It's your responsibility to have those conversations, to listen thoughtfully, and then try to make some decisions that work best for everyone. I'm hoping that the voters will see that. I think everyone is sick of it, and try to look at the individual candidates who promise that they are willing to talk to anyone, anywhere, and try to find that kernel of common ground to move our country forward. We desperately need it.
One of the questions we had asked earlier today involved, and you had referenced the Supreme Court decision. You know, obviously right now we're, I don't want to say we're at a 4-4 standstill, but there are 8 members of the Supreme Court, and if they do not achieve a majority in any of their rulings, the matter simply gets sent back, gets remanded back,
Yes.
and no real decision is made.
Right.
It's making a decision without a decision.
Yeah.
You know, Judge Garland has been
Yeah.
blowing in the breeze for a while now.
Yes.
What is your position on that particular issue regarding whether he,
He deserves a
Judge
hearing. A president needs to do their job. So you're the president of an organization. You're president until the day. It's your responsibility to do your job for your organization until the day that you have a new president. You don't say, well, I only have 6 months to go, I think I'll do nothing for the organization, whether you're running this organization, United Way, principal of a school, I'm going to be retiring in June, so I guess in January I'll do nothing. That isn't what any job requires. So the president needs to be allowed to do his or her job up till the moment that they are out of office. So I believe that a hearing should be allowed, an open, honest hearing. And the citizens of this country should expect nothing less, and expect every politician to do their job every single day, just like we do in business.
No days off.
Well, everyone gets a little vacation, but honestly, to say that someone is not going to be president in 6 months, you could say that the day you get hired for a job, you can say, well, in 25 years you're going to retire. That logic doesn't necessarily hold true.
Mike, did you want to?
Yeah, you know what's happening in the Middle East right now. If you get elected, you have to deal with, some of the issues. They got ISIS stuff going on, Syria,
Yes.
and Lebanon. You got all the stuff there. It's a mess completely. What is your input on some of the ideas to make it better?
That's a very complicated question.
It is.
It's a lot of complicated issues because there's so many factions, there's so many governments, there's so many cultural differences and ideologies. I think that some of the best things we can do is get the top diplomats, generals, different people from all the players, all the countries involved, and other countries that have been through this. You need to come to the table because you don't want unintended consequences. You need to come to the table and just really have some real hard discussions, because just doing one thing here, you think that might solve this, but it may push something over here. So without bringing everyone to the table, making sure everyone has skin in the game, and we're hearing everybody's input about what is happening in their country and what's important to them, that's the only way we're going to be able to craft something that is really going to service everyone. Because we can't necessarily impose it. You have to have ideas from the people who are living there. This is their culture, it's their home, and what they want to see for their future. And I think that no one in this world wants to live under terrorism and in fear for their families and their children. And so together, when we remember that, I think that can help move us forward into finding some good decisions. And you just, maybe it takes baby steps at a time and see how it works.
Yeah, but you see, you cannot do anything without the Russians getting involved.
Well, in Syria, I think that I was reading in the paper today, we have had some discussions. I think we've made some agreements with the Russians in Syria. There's no simple answer I can give you in 30 seconds. I do think that the most important thing is that we're always talking and that we're always keeping those diplomatic channels open, because when they close down is when things begin to escalate, and those who want to create fear and terror gain their most power. So we are absolutely stronger when we're talking, when we're trying to do something, when we're trying to negotiate, and that's how we can defeat ISIS, Daesh, Boko Haram, whatever the terrorist organization is that's coming up. And we can never slam those doors on our partners to try to come up with the proper solutions.
See, the other thing is that all these terrorists, they originally started from Pakistan. I don't know if you know that. Pakistan is a country next to India. Mm-hmm. And they have almost about 70, 80 bombs. Mm-hmm. Big bombs going. And they are the ones who's helping some other people up there, because India. And we are giving them money, like Obama just gave them about $8-9 billion, it's a gift.
Pakistan.
Yeah, but $8-9 million from the U.S. And they're making bombs and, trying to help the terrorists.
Well, I think when I go to Washington, I wasn't aware of that. I think when I go to Washington, we will be looking at those things. We don't want to support a terrorist state. We do want to support people who are going to try to move forward with democracy, with civil rights, human rights, and we need to see where that aid is going. And we certainly don't want we don't want any proliferation of nuclear weapons, and we certainly don't want anyone to be using them. And that's, again, we're having a clear head, going through diplomatic channels, and being able to have these discussions keeps things at bay and keeps things moving forward.
Not more than 24 hours ago, almost exactly 24 hours ago, North Korea decided, hey, I'm gonna let's detonate another nuclear warhead, because why not? There aren't a great deal of diplomatic channels into North Korea. Under situations where you have for argument's sake, a despot.
Yeah, dictator.
Right,
He's a dictator, right.
What ideas do you have from a national security standpoint to try and minimize his or her, that despot's impact on a more global scale? Especially with North Korea, since they have a history of developing weapons and then effectively selling them to the highest bidder to ostensibly terrorist states.
I think we have to, although North Korea, I believe, is one of the most sanctioned countries on the planet, I think that we need to use our leverage with any country that is either buying from them or they're getting the goods from somewhere. We need to be sure that we use our intelligence to find out what's happening on the black market or what's happening with other countries to cut off things going in and out of the country. And those are the kinds of things that we need to look at. Who is sending them the money or the supplies, obviously, to do what they're doing. And if you stop that, if you stop their ability to create, then you've shut them down. And that's where we need to look, and that's what we need to stop.
Well, obviously, China has been one of the main suppliers of North Koreans, well, of almost all goods in North Korea, since they don't have a great deal of industry themselves. But even China's come out and criticized the North Korean government for its decision to do an additional nuclear test. Do you feel that more pressure needs to be put on secondary providers like China for individual states like North Korea who are, engaging in these activities, or do you think there's, if we can't go directly at the problem, are you saying take an end around?
I think it'd probably be in China's best interest I think it's in everyone's best interest to not want someone who you can't predict to have a nuclear weapon and have a button to push it at whatever whim they desire. So I think it would be in China's best interest to find a way to shut down North Korea themselves. They're much closer to North Korea and that the fallout of that bomb than we are, and nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to have that, and so I can't believe that they wouldn't want to help negotiate or do what they need to do in the best interests of their own land and their own people. Not to mention globally the impact.
Mike, did you have any follow-up questions?
I just want to ask you what's your thoughts on the Supreme Court? We're going to status 4-4 judges in the Supreme Court. The 9th judge was recommended by the president, but the Senate decided not to do nothing about it until after the elections on the Supreme Court.
So essentially the same question.
Yeah,
Yes,
similar.
same question. I think that, like I said before, I believe that the president should be allowed to do their job until the day they're no longer the president. So when the president nominates someone, they need to take it seriously and do a fair and open hearing. That's what the American people deserve. Government needs to work. They can't shut it down because they don't like a particular individual or president, and the president needs to be allowed to do his job. They can have the hearings, then they can vote the way they want. They can hear from the American people as we watch those hearings on television. They can also hear from their constituents, how they feel about that person and what's important to them. So I think that Merrick Garland or whoever the president would nominate deserves a fair and open hearing.
The other thing I want to ask you, because Asian community is one of the largest communities now. We are almost over 350,000 Asians in Las Vegas. So almost, half. And we get the least respect from the politicians and the government people. They ignore the Asian community. All the time they're running after Hispanics and Africans. We hardly find the leaders in the community coming to Asian events. Although they invite and just ignore us. What would you do? We have some people like Dina, she's there every place. Few of them, like we had the other congressmen, you don't even see them. We only see them election time when they want to run in about our wards. And like Jackie's there all the time. There are maybe 2-3 people who come to our events. Like from the county commission, nobody ever comes.
Right.
Because they automatically get selected, so they don't think. Same with city council. What would you do? Would you be attending, coming to, because you have 3 or almost 40,000 Asians here come and attend our events, and we invite you to be a part of the culture, see what culture. Because Asian is not one. We have Chinese, and Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, a whole bunch. It's
Sure.
mixed together.
Sure. I am the granddaughter of immigrants, so I certainly know that my grandfather came from Russia and my grandmother came from Austria, and my husband's parents, one came from Germany, one from Poland, his grandparents. So of course there's different cultures within different communities, but I'll tell you, just like I said, one of the reasons that I was getting I want to get into the race is Nevada's my home. It's been my home for almost 40 years. It's where my friends are, it's where my community is, and it's what I think is most important. So what I want to do is be here. I'm not, I don't have an apartment in Washington, but my home is here. And this is what I'll always call home, and this is what I'll always care about. So going to the different communities, talking with people and finding out what's important, it is what motivates me to be in the race and to do public service. So I think that I'm going to, and actually I've been invited to the potluck. We were saying earlier how much I love to eat, so I'm glad I'll be right here for that one. But I do plan to come. I do plan to come to a lot of things and try to serve our community and listen to the voices in the very best way I can.
Well, Jacky, we are right up against our end time. We promised we wouldn't keep you too late, so you were late for your next appearance. for the next door for you to knock on. So how about we finish up with this? 30 seconds. Why are you the best candidate in this particular race?
Is she fixing the camera?
No, I think
Okay,
we're good.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, I actually
No,
think
we're
I'm
not.
the best candidate for the race because I'm a common sense person. I'm an outsider, I'm a first-time candidate who loves this community. I am smart, tough, and thoughtful. I want to be sure that every decision we make, we always think about the consequences and who's going to be behind it. Nevada's always going to be my home. I want to build community, build bridges, build our education and opportunities, because I think that's what America's made of. It's community after community strung together. So the stronger we make each one, the stronger we build them so they all work, the stronger and brighter our future is as Americans. So I think I'm the best candidate because I'm willing to talk, learn, and listen, and that is what an elected official is supposed to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate your patience today.